Well, namaskar and welcome to our continued coverage of the India AI Impact Summit in New Delhi. We've heard global leaders, innovators and policymakers outline how artificial intelligence is reshaping economies, societies and the future of technology. We'll continue to bring you the latest insights and key sound bites and also on-the-ground reactions from India's vision of becoming a full-stack AI leader to the role of startups, open source innovation and global partnerships. So stay with us as we track how India is positioning itself as a driver of inclusive, scalable and secure AI solutions for the world.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the India AI Impact Summit 2026 at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi, calling it the world's largest AI gathering. With participation from over 100 countries, Prime Minister Modi said, India, representing 1/6 of humanity, is not just building new technologies, but adopting them at unmatched speed.
AI को मशीन सेंट्रिक से ह्यूमन सेंट्रिक कैसे बनाएं, संवेदनशील और उत्तरदायी कैसे बनाएं, यही इस ग्लोबल एआई इंपैक्ट समिट का मूल उद्देश्य है.
Presenting India's Manav vision for AI, Manav standing for moral systems, accountable governance, national sovereignty, accessible and inclusive access, and valid and legitimate use, Prime Minister Modi stressed that AI must remain human-centric and inclusive. Prime Minister Modi also raised concerns over deepfakes and misinformation, urging authenticity labels, watermarking, and global standards to build trust.
आज की एक बहुत बड़ी आवश्यकता ग्लोबल स्टैंडर्ड्स बनाने की भी है. डीप फेक्स और फैब्रिकेटेड कंटेंट ओपन सोसाइटीज में अस्थिरता ला रहे हैं. फिजिकल वर्ल्ड में हम फूड पर न्यूट्रिशन लेबल्स देखते हैं ताकि हमें पता हो कि हम क्या खा रहे हैं. ठीक उसी तरह डिजिटल वर्ल्ड में कंटेंट पर भी ऑथेंटिसिटी लेवल्स होने चाहिए ताकि लोगों को पता हो कि क्या असली है और क्या एआई से बनाया गया है.
During the leaders' plenary, Prime Minister Modi proposed a roadmap to make AI more accountable. Prime Minister Modi said India sees fortune and future in AI, not fear, backed by talent, innovation and policy clarity.
एक्सेलेंसी, एआई के एथिकल उपयोग के लिए मेरे 3 सुझाव हैं. फर्स्ट, डेटा सॉवरेनिटी को रिस्पेक्ट करते हुए एआई ट्रेनिंग के लिए एक डेटा फ्रेमवर्क बने. जैसे एआई में कहा जाता है, गार्बेज इन, गार्बेज आउट. अगर डेटा सुरक्षित, संतुलित, विश्वसनीय नहीं होगा तो आउटपुट भी भरोसेमंद नहीं होगा. सेकंड, एआई प्लेटफॉर्म अपने सेफ्टी रूल्स बहुत क्लियर और ट्रांसपेरेंट रखे. हमें ब्लैक बॉक्स के बदले ग्लास बॉक्स अप्रोच चाहिए, जहां सेफ्टी रूल्स देखे और वेरीफाई किए जा सके. थर्ड, एआई रिसर्च में पेपर क्लिप प्रॉब्लम का उदाहरण दिया जाता है. अगर किसी मशीन को सिर्फ पेपर क्लिप बनाने का लक्ष्य दे दिया जाए तो वह उसका एक काम के लिए दुनिया के सारे रिसोर्सेज को दांव पर लगाकर भी वही काम करती रहेगी. इसलिए एआई को क्लियर ह्यूमन वैल्यूज और गाइडेंस की जरूरत है.
The summit also unveiled the New Delhi Frontier AI Impact Commitments, with participating nations agreeing to advance real-world AI applications. The first commitment is to advance the understanding of real-world AI usage. Tripti Tripaঠি's report for DD India.
Well, on the sidelines of the AI Impact Summit 2026 in New Delhi, the Prime Minister held extensive talks with the French President Emmanuel Macron. And this is President Macron's fourth visit to India. It's an official visit. And earlier, Prime Minister Modi met Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. He's the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi in New Delhi on the sidelines of the AI Impact Summit, recalling the historical ties that underpin India-UAE ties. Both leaders discussed bilateral cooperation and expressed satisfaction at the progress achieved in various fields. They also discussed ways to enhance cooperation in AI. Prime Minister Modi held a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of Netherlands, Dick Schoof, on the sidelines of the AI Impact Summit 2026. And both leaders, they exchanged views on harnessing AI as an enabler for economic and social transformation. The leaders also noted the conclusion of the India-EU FTA negotiations and reiterated their commitment to work for its early implementation. They agreed to further strengthen India-Netherlands cooperation in technology and innovation and leverage new opportunities in the economic partnership of the two countries. Both leaders committed to strengthening the global fight against terrorism. Prime Minister Modi engaged in productive discussions with Switzerland President Guy Parmelin on the sidelines of the AI Impact Summit, and they discussed strengthening collaboration in the economic sphere, including trade, investment and technology, especially with the implementation of the India-EFTA Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement and future-ready partnerships in AI innovation. On the sidelines of the India AI Impact Summit 2026, the Prime Minister also met the Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis, and the two leaders, they reviewed the India-Greece strategic partnership focusing on trade, defense, tourism, culture, cooperation in AI and emerging technologies. They also discussed boosting connectivity through IMEC and expressed the hope for early implementation of the India-EU FTA to enhance investment, technology, collaboration and jobs. Prime Minister Modi thanked Mitsotakis for Greece's support in India's fight against terrorism. And to put the India AI Impact Summit into context for us, we have with us in the studio Professor T.G. Sitaraman. He's the former chairman of AICTE, the Indian Council for Technical Education, and Dr. Chintan Vaishnav is the former mission director at the Atal Innovation Mission of Niti Aayog, and Professor Neil Lawrence is from the Department of Computer Science and Technology at the University of Cambridge. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us. Professor Lawrence, let me start with you. From a global perspective, how unique is the India AI Impact Summit?
I think it's been tremendous. India's really started to show the way and ensure that when we think about AI, we're not just thinking about large tech companies, but we're thinking, as Prime Minister Modi said, about full stack implementation that is inclusive and addressing real world applications of the technology. And that's been really healthy.
Indeed. Professor Sitaraman, how would India's education system evolve, using AI?
Yeah, this is where I think, I was the chair of the Human Capital Working Group.
Right.
Because we handle very large number of students across engineering, management and design programs. So we are actually one of the largest in the world. So we need to now change because AI coming in. So we have already started very early actually at AICTE. As early as 2018 itself, we started programs in data science and artificial intelligence. Large number of graduates have come out of it. But what we need to do is how now these people who are educated in and aware of AI will solve the real world problems. So we need to provide them computing, we need to provide them the infrastructure, and that's where I think I am looking at this AI summit is going to bring some partnerships from different countries, particularly the big players like US and China. These are the two big players actually in the computing and the infrastructure. So that's where we need to see some cooperation so that our young people will have an opportunity to solve the real problems. In other side, if you look at it, India is also innovating to create small language models where the problems can be solved at a local level, and that's again another opportunity India can show the way to the world. But to be precisely to tell you, I think India, at least in engineering, as a former chairman of All India Council for Technical Education, I will tell you, we are ready to face the challenge.
Ready to face the challenge. Mr. Vaishnav, Dr. Vaishnav, how, talking about that ecosystem, that infrastructure that Professor Sitharaman was talking about, how ready are our startups, to sort of take advantage of AI?
So I think we have real good grounding for our startups to get into the AI-enabled ecosystem, primarily because a lot of the world's software, IT, computational talent already comes from India. This is something that's not very easy to develop if you were a country starting out. This is something that we have a real lead on. And we now also, as you would have experienced, any university you go to, an average young person would tell you that they will try the path of entrepreneurship. That mindset change is also not an easy thing to achieve if you were starting out. And so I think the combination of these two and the energy pulse that the AI Summit has relayed into our entire ecosystem will really propel a lot of people to begin to look at AI-based startups. And also alongside there are many infrastructural new GPUs, language, fully indigenous, full stack, sovereign, affordable models. All of that is going to help.
Indeed. You were talking, Professor Lawrence, about full stack. Now, what can India learn or let's say take from the West or in Europe in particular at this current time? What kind of sharing and collaboration is going on?
Well, I think India is standing on its own 2 feet. I think it's already learning that it has a lot of what Europe has to offer already. It has the engineering expertise, it has the entrepreneurship. We're starting to see those two combined. And what I found particularly exciting at the summit was the focus on taking those things and making them work for the Indian people. With your digital public infrastructure, that's already giving a large advantage. There's a large market, there's a focus on human capital. So I would put it almost the other way. When I go back, I'll be trying to talk about what we can learn from the approach India is taking.
That's wonderful. Yes.
Because the approach that India is taking will lead to a more ethical AI, one that is deployed more in the interests of its citizens rather than the interests of the companies that own the information infrastructure.
So, Professor Sitharaman, perhaps you can tell us a little bit more about that inclusive AI system that India is developing. And also, in terms of costs, why India does stand out,
See, one of the reasons is our strength in the human capital.
Okay.
And particularly the engineering colleges. We have a huge number of engineering colleges producing almost 1.5 million engineers every year for the last 15-20 years has put us in a front. So that our engineers are actually today in every country and every company of the world.
Yes, that's
already, particularly in the tech sector. So we are already having an advantage.
heard President Macron mention the obvious.
Exactly.
The other.
So what we are trying to do is, as Chintan highlighted, AICT also did one other thing. We created innovation councils in every institution to bring in the culture of innovation, startups and entrepreneurship. That is another strength we already have, at least in most of our engineering and technical schools. So that's the strength we have, because that from there I think we can take a leapfrog and now try to solve problems of the real world. And small language models and also Indian two large language models have been also released in this summit. That is the Sarvam AI as well as Bharat GPT. They're all actually, from our own institutions who have grown up here, studied here, and created these companies. That clearly shows that, and these tools are already making waves in the Western world, just like what we heard the earlier DeepSeek made. So
yes.
that means we are already in the cutting edge technology. We are using it, developing it, but there is a lot to be done, because this is the time where we have to come together, learn from each other, bring. That's what we discussed at the Human Capital Working Group on the 18th morning,
right,
in the summit hall, where I think more than 35 countries participated in the Human Capital Working Group. So my co-chair was from Rwanda and Philippines, and we have brought out two documents. One is the guideline documents for skilling, upskilling, and reskilling.
Okay.
All
Sure.
AI for all. The other one is the playbook, the case studies where we can understand what best case stories we have, where we can learn from.
Could I add
Right.
a point?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Your sort of the cost structure idea. So if you
Yes.
look at the AI value chain, all the
Yes.
way from materials that make chips, that make computers, that make and then there's software, all of that. There are some components that you can't really change the cost of, right? Those costs are there for everybody. But there are some others where the way you approach them could change the cost dramatically. So, for example, take the idea of, just a simple mathematical thing. How many people are what is the benefit and how many people are benefiting from it? If you take the approach of digital public infrastructure, which is what we did with Sarvam or Bharat GPT, etc.,
So the
then
cost
the
per capita.
denominator is so large that per capita cost is much smaller.
Yes.
I think that's going to be very unique in the world of distribution of AI technologies. Yeah.
Sure, I'll come back to you about the inclusive aspects and how best this can be harnessed. But our correspondents are standing by from the Bharat Mandapam. Shubhendu Ghosh and Deepika Mehto are joining us. Shubhendu, so we've been talking about what stands out here for India in terms of cost advantages. What's the conversation like amongst the general people who have been coming for the AI Impact Summit? What impact have they seen in real terms?
Well, hello, Mark. First thing is that they've seen the kind of diversity of innovation, adoption, and application that is taking place here and now in the country, in India. This aspect of Make in India, where entrepreneurs from different parts of the countries have come together here to showcase the manner in which AI innovation is in fact in many ways led by India. Many were not aware that such innovations are in fact taking place in the country. Today, of course, was the day for the leaders of around 20 countries to gather, led by Prime Minister Modi, and focusing on the central theme of need to humanize artificial intelligence. And the leaders there also are able to really address the primary concern for even people who do not understand much about AI. They do understand that is AI going to take my job? Is AI going to change the future in the manner in which many people will have no space in it? So in that sense, the central focus of the leaders' deliberation today in many ways addressed the key concern that it is an inflection point for human civilization, and what we do today with AI is going to determine in many ways what kind of inclusive, empowered tool will AI serve in the coming future. And we see a reflection of that already with there's some 600 high potential startups who've put up expo here, although the footfall was less today because there was a leader summit. But in the ongoing summit, these startups in different sectors, in health sector, in education, in sectors such as public services, are doing really remarkable interventions using the power of AI, each of them trying to solve an important problem that people face in their everyday life, which is important. Everyday life of people at large, those concerns are being addressed by AI. It is not something which is esoteric, which addresses a problem which people cannot relate to. So everyday problem being addressed by multitudes of startup, and the leaders today, of course, giving a clear roadmap that the way forward has to be to humanize AI, make it more inclusive, make it a tool of empowerment, and not the other way around.
Yes, and Deepika, taking further what Shubhendu said about the common man's fear of AI taking over their jobs. To what extent, have people gone away feeling that perhaps their jobs are as secure as before, or perhaps they have some sort of an added advantage now that AI is helping them do their jobs better?
That is also, Mark, one of the important pillars when we talk about the motto of this India AI Impact Summit 2026 is to ensure that AI Summit revolves around the motto of welfare for all and happiness of all, and that of course talks about the inclusion of all, and that means employment opportunity for more number of people. We've been here since day one of the ongoing India AI Impact Summit, and we've been talking to many of the stakeholders here, including the company stakeholders. Now more than 51 startups are being hosted by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting Pavilion itself, which means that so many people are getting opportunities. That is just about one pavilion. Apart from that, we are having so many pavilions, not only the government pavilions, the national pavilions, domestic pavilions, as well as the international pavilions as well. We went to each one of them and tried to interact with all of them and tried to understand that what this means for employment opportunities and especially the job security, because there is a misconception that can AI take away the job of the people, and most of them, Mark, 95% of the people said that this is what regulation is meant for, and that is why we are saying that the India AI Impact Summit 2026 comes at the right moment when we are talking about the regulation, the governance of AI, not only in India but in the entire world also. Even when you will take a look at the different pavilions, different stalls which have been put up here all across the halls, there are several halls. All of them, they talk about creating more job opportunities through leveraging technology. Now that means that we are giving a multifold benefit to the economy through leveraging technology, because that is the emerging trend, and as well as we are also ensuring that it includes everybody. Not only it includes the younger generation, that as Prime Minister Narendra Modi also mentioned in his opening remark today, in his speech today, that we are here focusing on the collaborators and on the innovators as well, which means it is not only meant for the experienced stakeholders but for the emerging talent as well. But they are also ensuring that it is stretched to the women segment as well.
Yes,
because
indeed.
AI for her is a special focus here at the ongoing India AI Impact Summit, and AI for her means that AI and the initiatives taken by women, and also the initiative which can benefit women, especially the women who come from the backward sections, and how AI can reach to those sectors which are not really reachable or which are far apart, including the village areas as well. So this is what is one of the pillar of this ongoing India AI Impact Summit 2026. We heard from Prime Minister Narendra Modi also talking about it, and we've had the glimpses of it in various and the reflections of it in various stalls put across the entire venue here, Mark.
Indeed. Shubhendu, there is also the point of access. I mean, how do people access AI? What implements are available to them? I mean, most people have some level of smartphones, but to what extent can they get the full potential of artificial intelligence through a smartphone?
Right, Mark. To a great extent, I mean, if you reflect on the address of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the AI Summit today, one of the things he presented was also the India story, the manner in which India is poised to take a leadership stance in the domain of artificial intelligence. And coming to your question, you cannot be in that position unless you realize the potential of AI for most number of people, to democratize it, to make it more inclusive, and as you put it, to make it more accessible. And in fact, India, thanks to its advances in the domain of digital technology, India in fact is in a position, quite an unenviable position, where the access to core AI infrastructure is increasing for more number of people. We look at, there are over 38,000 GPUs. These processors are quite central to any kind of testing or innovation of AI models. The 38,000 GPUs are available at one of the most affordable rates of about ₹65 an hour to innovators and entrepreneurs who want to use it to test and innovate with their models. If you talk about access to AI in everyday life, you mentioned mobile phones, but mobile phones alone cannot really truly realize the potential of AI. You need access to high-speed network. There you have in about 99% of the districts in the country, more than that, have access to high-speed 5G network in the country. There is also AI Kosh, which is an access to hundreds of data sets. Data sets are central to, again, testing models, making sure that your models are able to perform in different circumstances. Even those data sets are made accessible for innovators and entrepreneurs. So in that sense, Mark, at the grassroots, that AI revolution that we talk about is already taking place. It is made accessible, the infrastructure is made accessible to entrepreneurs at large, and also people in large, citizens accessing their mobile phones using high-speed internet network are also able to make good use and positive use of AI in their everyday life. So that change is getting fulfilled in many ways, Mark, as far as AI in India is concerned.
Question to you as well, Deepika. You know, you talked about AI by her. Give us some examples of what you're seeing around you in terms of AI by her and unique solutions which you know, reflect the aspirations of women in general.
Let me talk about Plevo, which is one of the exhibition over here, and that Plevo is of course a technology driven stall which have been put up by a lady here. And when we went there, and she said that this is such a great opportunity which is being provided by the government of India by organizing the India AI Impact Summit, because the women are getting to lead here. Not only this, because there has always been a special focus on women inclusion, not only in the corporate sector but in the government sector as well. We've seen it time and again, and especially when we talk about our own country, we have a female president. So why not include the same gender equality in different arenas also? And that we witness here across different arenas, not only the national arena, the governance arena, but in the international arenas of AI Impact Summit as well. So Plevo is one such example where the women is leading from the front. But apart from that, if we talk about, you would remember HCL Tech, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the AI Impact Expo, he went to HCL Tech, and there he was briefed by women whose name is Roshni Nadar, and Roshni was explaining all the technology that they are, you know, generating for the people, right from associating with.
Okay, we seem to have had a technical problem with Deepika, but thank you both, Shubhendu and Deepika, for the moment. Let's turn once again to our guests in the studio. Professor Lawrence, we see that you know, AI has different access levels. I mean, that's free for quite a lot of the services are free, available for people. Then there's paid services. So to what extent, you know, would a person who's utilizing AI for their own professional upliftment tend to be at the same level when there are different levels of AI?
I think that's one of the challenges, and I think one of the things that I enjoyed seeing the priorities of the government here is giving access, well, a number of companies. We heard from different CEOs of big networks in India that are looking to provide access to AI, but also start providing access to AI on the edge. The sense I got, and you know, Chinkan can correct me, is that the policy here is to sort of ensure that government is supporting on that infrastructural level.
Yes.
So that makes sure that you're not leaving out people in the villages, the farmers, some of the most important people for India overall, and ensuring that they're getting access. And the really extraordinary thing about that is once government chooses to do that and intervene at the right position, then they can steer the technology in ways that are going to help. If you don't do that, you end up relying on commercial providers to happen to be providing the solutions that are appropriate for your country. And it's, to be honest, it's very difficult for a commercial provider that is providing for 6 billion people to be thinking of an Indian farmer. That just doesn't work. Whereas the government of India naturally has an interest in providing for the Indian farmer. I do a lot of work also in Africa, in Kenya, in Uganda, in Tanzania, and we see the same issues there, but not yet the same ability of the governments to step in. And I think that that's why it's so inspiring, because what we're seeing here is leadership. You know, in the past, India has already launched to the moon. I think with this summit for AI, they're potentially launching to the stars.
Professor Sitharaman, in terms of data, you know, I mean, how does one assess this this concern that data can be biased? I mean, to what extent are the AI solutions that are sovereign to India would be utilizing data sets that are let's say, I mean, Indian in nature?
Yeah, you see, we are a 140 crore population.
Right.
With a very large number of them using the internet also. In addition to that, we are also a large number of smartphones which are being handled even across small towns also, because of the, what we did with the UPI, which has created a disruption in the usage of this. So there is a lot of data has been actually there. But what is a good data and how do you really use that appropriately? That's a big challenge for the developers. And that's where I think we need to innovate, and there is a lot of work to be done in that direction, where, how do you put a quality data? Because if you look at the Facebook and Instagram, and almost like 30% of them are Indians utilizing. Right. The data is actually right now is flowing from India to the elsewhere in the world. So if you really manage it very well, and with this awareness and with the policies what we are putting down, I think we'll be data rich and talent rich, and human capital user are also very large. So the problem for us is only the infrastructure.
Indeed. So
that is where I think we are innovating.
So let's
in
come
a new way
to
of doing
Professor Dr. Chintan Vaishnav about infrastructure. So we have the data, we have the human capital, and in terms of infrastructure, Shubhendu was saying that 5G networks are available all across. You have that access. But to build the real digital infrastructure that for AI to receive its full potential, what do you think is the way ahead? Should the government be investing, public-private partnership? What's the model?
I feel there are three aspects to underscore. One, Professor Lawrence already mentioned that government taking a view that this is Sarvajan Hitay, Sarvajan Sukhai view, that everybody must have access to it. We have done this in technology after technology. For instance, in telecom, we use something called universal service, but it was much harder to do. But if the government from the get-go says that we have to build so that everybody can have it, that's a massive step. So that's the first thing. In terms of the infrastructure, I think there are two announcements that really caught my attention. Yesterday, when Sarvam AI was launched, they first dispelled the common questions that is this model from scratch? Yes. Is all the data Indian, generated by India, in India? Yes. So those questions were answered. But they announced a partnership with NVIDIA where they are trying to tokenize server processing capacity in a distributed fashion across the nation. If you allow people to charge for their GPU and make it a market, then collectively we have a lot of GPU, right? We just don't use it. That's one thing. Today, Mr. Ambani made an announcement that their new strategy will be to cut cost of intelligence as much as they have cut the cost of data through things like geo and all that. If we take those bold steps, then I think we will have a very different approach to infrastructure and we can get there much faster.
Okay. Shubhendu continues to be with us. He's at the Bharat Mandapam. Shubhendu, these challenges that have been put out and lots of people have participated. So is Deepika, she's back with us. These challenges that have been put out, what's the kind of response to them, and what's the enthusiasm around people participating in these challenges and hoping to sort of get onto the AI bandwagon?
Mark, to answer that question, we'll again have to reflect on...
There's the AI for all, AI by her, Yuva AI, these are the things I'm talking about. AI for all, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, go back to hundreds of startups and entrepreneurs who have come here to showcase the work they've already been doing. The AI summit is taking place now, but in many ways, India's engagement of Indian entrepreneurs, of Indian startups with AI has been ongoing for many years. In fact, it sort of many ways coincides with the rise of Indian startups all across the country. Now, the manner in which they are approaching diverse problems and the manner in which every aspect of AI ecosystem, we were with the guests, you were talking about the AI ecosystem, about the need for data centers, if we have made in India chips, GPUs, graphic processing units, which are very central to any kind of AI innovations. So in the expo, we see that those innovations about each aspect of AI infrastructure being addressed by different startups and entrepreneurs in the country. These are Make in India innovations and solutions that are put forward. On the one side, I saw this one innovator who primarily looks at the cooling systems. You know, data centers also have unique requirement of continuous energy supply and also cooling systems, because the AI processes, computer processes sort of exhaust a lot of heat. So simple as creating indigenous cooling system which works the best in Indian conditions is something that is being developed. There are GPU circuits and semiconductors that are being developed and put together by startups. There are very important cooperations that are happening with global companies such as NVIDIA and Indian companies. We had as young as students, 12-year-olds, who are in fact harnessing the tools of AI that are available for people as young as them through Atal Tinkering Labs and other such initiatives, to be able to, whatever they can, able to provide the solutions to everyday problems. I mean, I came across this group of school students who have in fact developed a system. It works with a certain smart camera, and what it aims to do is make parking in Indian systems. Parking is a big problem we know in our urban spaces. Make parking smarter. How does the camera recognize cars of different sizes and then allocate spaces based on those sizes? So that is just an example of the manner in which a diversity of entrepreneurs, there are hundreds of them, each of them is picking up one problem to solve, whether it is about a problem that is solved by AI in its entirety, or some problem about the AI infrastructure itself. So in many ways, it's a 360-degree, if I may say, revolution, which is all set to take off in India. And we see youngsters, young entrepreneurs and leaders really driving that kind of AI-led and revolution about AI.
Indeed, Deepika, so what are the kind of problems that youngsters are tackling at the AI summit? Just getting there, I suppose, is a problem with all the traffic. I mean, maybe one of the issues could be to tackle the traffic problem in some ways.
But before answering that question, I would like to complete my previous answer, because there was some connection error, because we are talking about India becoming the game changer in the AI industry, and we are talking and we are also talking about AI for women and AI for her. And very interestingly, Mark, there was a AI by her challenge which was organized by the organizers here, and Farmline, they were the winners of this AI by her challenge. So it is not only about motivating the innovators to come here and showcase their work at the Global Exposition, but also motivating them through different award challenges, through different challenges where they can witness, where they can explore opportunities, where they can become a game changer by really participating in a game which is really innovative, which can make you go really crazy about it, which can force you to brainstorm about AI revolution, and which can, of course, ultimately lead you to bring the change first in the country and then for the entire world, because this is what exactly we are focusing on. Bring the change for the country and then lead the country from the front for the entire world. And India is not only proving that by inviting all the global leaders under one roof at the ongoing India AI Impact Summit, because more than 100 countries are participating in this particular summit, and so many people, more than 20 global leaders are participating today particularly. And apart from that, there is a CEO roundtable meeting which is also happening there, which means from all the fronts we are intending to become the game changer for the AI revolution, which is in itself a game changer when we talk about not only the country's economy but for the world's economy as well. And when we talk about that AI, there is a threat that comes with it, but to address that threat, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, that it has to be human-centric, and that is why there is a need for organizing such summits. Now coming on to the problem and the challenges that you said, because so many innovators, so many leaders, and so many people are coming, we have to realize that there is a change which is building up. And to adapt to that change, we have to understand that how to move in tandem with the technology. And interestingly, when we talk about the registration, there is a registration process, which means that you have to register it online, bring your QR code at the entry gate, and then you will be allowed. So for that to happen, people really need to understand that we have to follow the entire typical process, and the challenges, whatever they were, if they were at all the real challenges, barring the day one, everything was addressed, and Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw himself addressed all these concerns specifically to the media through a proper press conference. Apart from that, there are several initiatives which have been taken away. And when we talk about the challenges, as you just mentioned, that why people are facing the challenges, I think we've had a word with so many people, and especially the innovators, the young generation that we particularly talk about. I myself had a word with so many of them yesterday, and they were so delighted, and they said, this is their word, they said that everything is really smooth now. People should come here inside the expo and experience the change that the world is bringing on the table, because the young generation is the future that not only hold the economic prospect but the prosperity of the country, and they are the game changers who are leading this change, and the baton will go ahead to them. So they are the game changers. They are themselves saying that whatever the problems are, people really need to understand that this is a very huge global level summit which is happening in the country's capital. So people really need to not only come here, visit here, understand the technicalities, but also cooperate with whatever is happening, because this is like a once-in-a-decade event that happens in any of the countries. And after what happened in France, the successful conclusion of the event in France, New Delhi is hosting such summit. And when we talk about the amalgamation of leaders, the CEO roundtable, you are having not only more than 5,000 sessions where you are getting to meet leaders from NVIDIA, from Google, from Amazon, from Mozilla, but also you are getting to meet with the ministers, with the foreign ministers. I'm not only talking about the Indian ministers, but also with the foreign ministers, which means that you are getting to exchange the knowledge system and be in the entire knowledge ecosystem where you can exchange the knowledge spheres. So having that sort of opportunity in hand, a lot is going here at the AI India Impact Summit. And especially interestingly, Mark, the meetings are still going on where the CEOs are deliberating on how they can voluntarily take forward the AI revolution and work towards a common commitment, towards a common goal for the entire world, Mark.
Right, we'll come back to you for the outcomes of that meeting there, Deepika and Shubhendu. Do continue to give us inputs. We'll continue with our guests in the studio in the meantime. Professor Lawrence, when should people start preparing for change? I mean, in the sense that, everyone has got to adapt. I suppose that's what Deepika was saying. But the issue is there are some people who won't. And then there are some people who will be left behind, and then there'll be psychological issues, then there's fear of missing out and all sorts of stuff happening. How does one deal with all these which are happening simultaneously?
Yeah, it's a really big question. And as I think Deepika was saying, what's so encouraging, first of all, about the summit, of course there's challenges if you manage to get 250,000 people and 100 or whatever world leaders into the same location. And to not have the ambition to have done that, I think would have been a great shame. Because I spoke to so many young people about their excitement. They were asking for advice about what they should do next. They're enthralled by the technology. But of course, that doesn't mean that everyone's enthralled. And I think we have to be very careful to ensure that people aren't being left behind, as you say. My encouragement is for people to try it out, to try out the technology, and even when it doesn't seem to be quite right, keep having a go at it. If they've got a friend or a relative who's worked with the technology, who can support them, lead them through it, show them what it does, because I think the more people who learn and understand, in fact, it's my belief that those who are most skeptical about the technology, those are the ones we need on side. It's like in the American movie where, at the beginning you fight, there's a fight between two people and they become their best buddy, right? You get the most loyalty from those with the most skepticism. In fact, it's those who don't have skepticism that I think we have to worry about. So I'd encourage those with skepticism to try the technology, find support networks. I've heard about some of the networks, the Tinkathons that have been organized across the country, the networks that are supporting children to see the technology. If your children have seen it, then they can help share that with their parents. There's so many initiatives here.
Professor Sitharaman, in terms of impact again, when, for instance, in certain professions where people had a lot of creativity, and now you take the assistance of AI and, an average man can produce the same creativity as perhaps what one considered a high-level genius at one point of time. So what happens to those people who had that creativity in the first place? Are they going to be left out? What do they do now?
See, artificial intelligence, I say nothing artificial about it. It's actually an augmented intelligence. So any normal person with the AI can augment his capabilities. So there is nothing actually short of because of this technology. But any technology for that matter, there will be infrastructural challenges. Building the infrastructure for the given technology takes some time. And this is what particularly this AI is coming so fast and suddenly. So there are a lot of skepticism, as he rightly said, but at the same time, I think we are getting ready because of the talent and also the capability of the young people. So today's India has a very large young population who are ready. And also we were doing some experiments like Smart India Hackathon or Atal Tinkering Labs. So there are a lot of already we are building that culture of creativity, problem solving, and innovation, and all these are already been taken to even schools. When Chintan was leading that Atal Tinkering Labs and ourselves at the Institute Innovation Councils, we have already made sure that most of our students are aware of these, that critical thinking, problem solving skills, and use of technology. But now I think AI is here. It will be much more beneficial to them to use it. So this is where I think we will see a sea change in the coming days.
But Dr. Vaishnav, will people, maintain, those who succeed, will they maintain the same level of perseverance? Because now this looks like a shortcut. You just give a few prompts and you get all the solutions you want. And it's an easy way out, honestly.
So my hope is, also deep faith, is that perseverance, we will always define what perseverance means and what shortcuts mean. What used to be perseverance has become shortcut. Something else will become perseverance. It will be a combination of shortcuts or whatever. People will say, oh, this even I can do. This is not perseverance. Something else is perseverance. What that would be, don't yet know.
Okay. So you want to come in there?
I just wanted to say that, people think that all agents will be there, they will do everything, and what human beings have to do. Okay? This is where I think, we need to learn to do something differently. Right. And that's where, I think this kind of events where large gathering is there, where students have an opportunity to discuss, learn from each other, and also collaborate with different countries, companies. I think this is what is going to happen. The world will be a different world, maybe in a couple of years down the road. And education will change, the way we learn today with degrees, certifications, might be different model altogether. So that's where I think we should embrace this technology. I think without this, embracing this technology, not just getting into it, solving problems. We simply embrace and put everybody to use it. At the same time, we have to also see some of these people who have a disadvantage, particularly the children.
I was just going to come to that. I said you already have an advantage, but the person who has the disadvantage, how does he catch up? What would you say?
Well, I think one of the challenges, and one thing I wanted to make clear, I don't think anyone's saying that when you're coming to career choices, you should suddenly do something radically different either. I think that's one thing that's very difficult for parents advising children right now, because they see this change. They're not silly. They know this change is coming. And they're having to advise their children on what to do. And the answer is, well, pretty much the same as what they did. Keep following the path. The path will change over time. Now, the point about the disadvantage, I think, then becomes very important, because I think one of the promises of the internet was it would somehow distribute knowledge and share things and make equality in knowledge. But in some sense, what we've seen is a tendency to distribute the not worthful knowledge, the knowledge that is less enhancing, that seems interesting at the time. I think what I really hope for people who don't have those advantages today is that this technology, and I'm so encouraged by the way that India is choosing to deploy it, is going to support those individuals in getting access to the things that they couldn't access before. So it's not a matter of radical change across the whole of the educational system. It's a matter of like, okay, what we're doing is good, because the perseverance is key. And it's not a substitute for knowledge. It's an enhancement. It's an augmentation of knowledge. And so the more knowledge you have, the more it augments you. But if we can find pathways which are showing that to be true for people and showing them opportunities as the economy grows to do different things and take on different roles in that economy, then we're going to lift everyone up together. I think that the alternative that is very worrying is that somehow it is seen, as you suggest, that these skills are no longer useful and that children are no longer aspiring to go to IIT or IIS or these extraordinary capabilities you gain in India or to learn their way to a better position, because I don't think that's going to change at all, precisely because of the point that Chintan made around perseverance.
Can I
sure,
add
go
an
ahead.
AI by Her example? I was very closely involved in AI by Her, which is put up by the Women Entrepreneurship Program of the Niti Aayog, which has been going on for a long time. And we had 800 women who entered the challenge. And through several rounds, we went to 10 and then we went to 3. And you just heard about the farm line, which one. I want to give you that example very quickly. But before I say that, I want to say that in some sense, AI by Her, in some people's mind, may be because there needs to be some form of equity. But when you see such a challenge, you realize that AI, in some sense, is a great leveler. The winners of this challenge, their technology, their skill, their tenacity, their enterprise is not different than anybody, no matter what their gender is. And that has been possible because of the access to and the ease of technology also, in part of other reasons too.
Right.
Farmline, for instance, has this beautiful solution. This is a daughter of a farmer. There's a camera that sits in the middle of 1 acre farms, and it scans the farm continuously, and it is looking for any new pests that it can detect. And it's sort of consulting thousands of pests database and machine learning algorithms to say, you have such and such pest, farmer, and you need to do this before it affects your plant. What a beautiful idea.
Yes,
And
it's a
it
great
came,
idea.
yeah, it came, and it came from a farmer's daughter, and it is possible because of the technology being a leveler.
Right. But Professor Lawrence, there is also the concern that, as we continue to use the technology, we become more and more dependent on it, isn't it? And then we lose our own ability to be independent.
Yeah, and I think that this is why it's so important that it's being co-created with people. Because the downstream effects, it's absolutely true. I mean, we look at any technology across all of history, we've become dependent on it. So the question becomes more, how do you want to be dependent on it? And the question also becomes is, who's steering the technology and how is it forming those dependencies? If those dependencies are being created so that money can be made elsewhere, that's not very healthy. We know in healthy markets, if we get things right, you're creating structures where the dependencies can be modified as the product is deployed. Take Chintan's example of the pest deployment system. If that's within the control of farmers to deploy, it's also within the control of farmers to change. And this has been one of the very difficult things about digital technologies. Up until now, it's been very difficult for an individual to build and change and support a digital technology. With the capabilities of these models to code, that could change very significantly. And you could see these technologies being deployed and maintained much closer to the problem set. And that means, yes, there will be dependencies, but hopefully those dependencies will be ones that are chosen by the people that these technologies are supporting, rather than imposed upon them by companies who are making money elsewhere.
Indeed. Professor Sitharaman, let's say, I mean, in the business of the economy, people say that, you know, AI is going to augment the GDP by so and so percentage. Some go up to, you know, 15, 20% and things like that, but may not be realistic. But the issue is that also, you know, I mean, certain programs, for instance, can support, let's say, investors on the stock market to allow them to, you know, chase particular stocks. And when you back that with money and you have the means, then you're basically taking control of the market. And how does one regulate those sort of things?
Yeah, regulation is one thing, you know, we need to be very carefully looking at it. Why? Because the regulation also inhibits the innovation. So too many guardrails are also a big challenge. So I think we need to now actually sit down and discuss how to regulate, who should be allowed to use, why. There must be a lot of debate, because being a democratic country, I think we need to now discuss about these issues. I think already the discussions have been started. So that's where it's, but coming to just back to the empowerment of this technology, for example, we have ourselves seen the UPIs, how it has been.
So there's a level of trust there. For instance,
Exactly.
the trust level also in AI when it comes to financial aspects. I mean, there are people who are afraid that, you know, AI can cheat you. Is that possible?
But anyway, the blockchain and other technologies are coming in. So along with the AI, I think there is, I hope there is some hope.
Prime Minister Modi made this excellent point about when you are dealing with an AI. The nutrition label. This is a key thing where we need regulation. It should not be the case that an AI could impersonate a human. And we don't have a good standard around that. I thought it was brilliant that he brought that up, because that's a key point. One of the challenges I've seen, for example, in the African context where mobiles are widely deployed is largely who's making money is gambling companies.
Yes.
Now, that's not what we want. But UPI is a point of intervention on that. If you don't control UPI, you can't control that.
I think the idea of not black box, but a glass box.
That's also
Can there be a transparency? Can we embrace transparency for anything where we use AI? I think if that happens, people know what's in it. Then a democracy like us has correcting mechanisms for us to win that arms race. There's always going to be an arms race with a technology like this, because as we see in cybersecurity, you know, white hat hackers do one thing and black hat hackers do something else. And
Right.
Yeah.
So indeed, and the same thing would apply to manufacturers of not bits of the AI technology, but of let's say of the smartphones and the computers and the things that we'll be using, and they are largely made by in certain countries. So to what extent, Professor Lawrence, is this a concern across the world that, you know, your data will be, you know, mined in some remote corner and misused against you?
I think it's a big concern, but I think at the same time, I don't think we can think of digital sovereignty of meaning owning every piece. I think we heard a lot from the world leaders about partnership, and we heard a lot from India about the partnerships it's making with France, with the United Arab Emirates around this. Now, if you have true partnership, there's trust. And I think that's something we're looking for. I mean, geopolitically, the world is somewhat rebalancing at the moment, and the rebalancing is coming from a dependency structure that probably wasn't healthy. Now, that might be a painful rebalancing, but it doesn't mean that we should be closing down our doors and locking everything down to within our countries. What I think is clever about the Indian strategy is it's choosing the layer of intervention. Yes. It's choosing the intervention point. You know, below that, okay, sure, you might have Taiwanese manufactured processors, you might have, you know, American designed phones or whatever, but the payments layer is a very clever place to intervene.
Indeed. So do you see, you know, countries going into some sort of a fragmentation in case of this fear, and, you know, like to preempt things, you know, you sort of bring in sort of regulation. After all, AI is still early days, and we're already seeing, you know, certain countries moving in the form of regulation, sort of being front runners in that respect. Is that something that is, are they showing the way, or are they showing the wrong way?
Well, I don't think the answer
there is a way
that
right
is,
now.
I don't think the answer to that is clear. What is clear is in many technologies, in most technologies, regulation has lagged innovation.
Yes.
For good reasons. This is the reason why innovations could reach an escape velocity and it could survive and all of that. It's by design in some sense. In some sense, it is by some delays and some hesitancy and so on. But in this case, we don't have the luxury of delaying regulatory thinking because this is a really fast moving technology. It has a clock speed that is an order of magnitude faster than the rate at which our institutions make decisions.
Okay.
So to start thinking now.
I just want to
Yeah, Sitaram, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Our Honorable Prime Minister is already talking about engaging the global South.
Indeed,
countries.
absolutely, yes.
So these are the poor countries in the global South should be also assisted with the lower technology. That's where I think India's strength comes in. Now, India can help these countries and also show the leadership. And that's what the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam also fits in right there. That's where I think a lot of efforts are already being made. You could see this in the Impact Summit itself. Large number of these countries are participating in this. You see, my co-chair was from Rwanda and another one was from Philippines. Similarly, we could see from Africa, from Far East, all countries are coming in together to discussing, and we brought out a consensus document, agreeing, all these countries have agreed for this. That means there's a phenomenal acceptance for this change is there.
Professor Lawrence, coming to biases and ethics once again, we know that AI is timeless, and we are, of course, limited by time, and that's an unfortunate thing, perhaps. But at some stage, it has to overtake everything. I mean, every human being who would come will have to start from scratch, and AI is way ahead. So, will that be a problem in the future?
It doesn't overtake everything. It can't overtake anything. Our time-limited nature, the fragile nature of human beings, is one of our greatest strengths. The fact that we are ephemeral, the fact that we have culture that is given to us for our forebears, it can never feel or experience that. It's simultaneously our suffering and our joy are two sides of the same coin. They can never be suffered by the machine. The way we support each other when we work together to overcome these things, it can never experience any of that. It only emulates that. And that's why it's so important that it's human decision making, humans who suffer, humans who die, humans who love, humans who lose, they're in control. What control means, well, that has to be co-created with the farmers of India, with the vendors of India, with the people of India and the global South. And it's been so encouraging to see that first right step in the direction here that India's taken.
Professor Sitharaman, should that be a concern with regard to healthcare, for instance? Because after all, I mean, if doctors rely very heavily on AI, and the human aspect then becomes a machine aspect, what happens in the human aspect of healing?
See, already,
I mean, it's an ethical question.
For that matter, any technology has pros and cons. We need to learn also with technology. That's one other important thing. We have to also make all our young people to learn the newer technologies has a pros and cons. So coming back to the point of human touch, so I think that's not going to run away. These technologies are going to be helpful. That's why I called this is an augmented intelligence. It's not on anything artificial. So we don't need to be scared of it. So the idea is basically this augmented intelligence will take us to the next level and bring all of us together, work together, collaborate together, learn from each other. I think this is the time. I think AI is going to really be here for the benefit of the mankind. As our logo of this conference also says, Sarva Jana, it's all for everybody.
Right. I'm told that we'll be extending our programming by another half hour. So I'm, I wish, thank you for staying with us. We're going to be joined by our correspondents as well. We are going to get inputs of the Prime Minister interacting with CEOs at the Bharat Mandapam. Those shots will appear to us in a short while, and we'll also get inputs from our correspondents as to what transpired at those meetings. But coming back to you, Dr. Vaishnav, I mean, you've been involved with Niti Aayog and, thinking out of the box. And for a country like India, I mean, this is really, I mean, it's a place which many people marvel for its size, but also they worry about its chaos. So, I mean, to what extent can AI be the solutions for the masses? I mean, the massive masses of our country.
I think it will accelerate what we're trying to do immensely. So, for example, as Atal Innovation Mission, one of its new program is called LIPI, the Language Inclusive Program of Innovation. If you look at it, about 80+% of Indians do not speak English.
Right.
At this moment, they are excluded from the startup ecosystem. I mean, they do not receive the funding that an English-speaking innovator receives. The LIPI program is supposed to create innovation ecosystems in all 22 scheduled languages of India, where an innovator who does not speak English or an investor who does not speak English, look at Chandni Chowk, for instance. Most business people don't speak English, but they are perfectly good business people.
Absolutely.
To include such people. Now, that cause, the way we were going about it, for instance, until the AI revolution, was to think about it as incubators for such things. But now, with the infusion of technology layer, which can make translation, conversation across Indian languages seamless and without any latency, one piece of the problem is solved. Now, these people still have to learn, say, innovation, design thinking, entrepreneurship. That is to be learned in their language. Investors still have to learn what is a startup, how do I think about this risk, all of that. Ecosystems will still have to be there so that people don't have to people can connect. Yes. But that entire mission is significantly accelerated by having a democratized AI language layer, for instance. Okay. Children, for instance, the PM very eloquently said that people's reaction to AI are of two types. You either fear AI or you think of it as future and fortune. Children, by and large, think of it as future and fortune. They have no fear. You know, we have seen that in Atal Tinkering Labs. 11 million children that we have touched through design thinking, and 50,000 more labs are coming. Yes. I think that is where our change agent is for the nation. And AI is coming at the right time, when these 50,000 new labs will be built. And the entire education system will have access to tinkering as a way of learning, infused by AI. I think, and given the fact, Professor Sitaraman was saying that in the next, it is well known that in the next 20 years, 1 in 5 workers around the world is going to be Indian. It is going to be these children who are going to be that worker. So I think this is an incredible moment. Incredible.
Okay. Sitaraman, yes.
Yeah, Vaishnav talked about the inclusion of the languages.
Yes.
You see, Indian government of India, through Ministry of Education, started very early this inclusion. Now today, students in India from remote villages can learn engineering in their mother tongue. That's already possible. So even though it is at a slow pace, but till very recently, there was no option for the student except to do everything in English. Even an IIT Jodhpur has started in the first semester in Hindi. You know, that's a big change this government has brought in. So AICTE has actually produced textbooks for both diploma and engineering at all levels. Indian textbooks with multiple languages, already they are all available online in eCum portal in 12 different languages. Right. So we are aiming to reach that 22 languages which are there in our constitution. So that's where I think a lot of changes are happening. I am very hopeful. See, this AI is going to create a lot of opportunities. I think scare from every mind should be removed, and definitely we should be cautious and find out the pathways to see people use it for a good and better use.
Indeed.
That requires the human touch.
Let's go across to Shubhendu, who's joining us once again from Bharat Mandapam. Shubhendu, we've been talking here in the studio really about how the human touch and artificial intelligence, at what point does one supersede the other? In the context of our country, where we have so many diverse languages, to what extent, is this one of the models that is being displayed here at the Bharat Mandapam about how India is going to, let's say, pole vault or leapfrog because of making high quality education now available in the mother tongue?
Absolutely, Mark. In many ways, it is a popular saying, especially in the world of technology, that if it works in India, it can work in the world. The sheer diversity that you also referred to, not just linguistic diversity, but diversity of demography, of socio-economic conditions, all of those put together, AI can be, in that sense, a great leveler, and it can be a great opportunity for a diverse country like India to be able to harness the potential of artificial intelligence, to be able to bridge these gaps. And once India is able to do that successfully, it will be a model for the world to emulate. And Prime Minister in his address also spoke about a very important aspect that should rest a lot of concerns around AI, is that the future, which is going to be influenced by AI, is not predetermined, is not predefined. AI by itself is not going to shape our future. The steps that we are going to take today, the manner in which today we are going to focus on the human aspect of AI, that will determine the manner in which the future, in which AI is going to prominent role, is going to be shaped. So in that sense, India's diversity, the manner in which those differences can in fact be used as a foundation to strengthen AI applications, to make AI, to sort of bring out the complexities of AI application, to be able to bridge those gaps, can in fact work as a model for the entire world. So in that sense, India is an important ground for not just innovation and adoption, but also experimentation. And what works here, it is most likely is going to work across the world. Mark?
Also, Shubhendu, we were talking about how, AI empowers people who are, let's say, who are slightly behind in the sense. So, I mean, let's say small businesses, to what extent can they be empowered by AI so that their output levels can increase? And also India's manufacturing capacity, can it improve with regard to AI? Again, that would lead to another question, which is whether jobs will be displaced. But let's not go there right now.
Right. Those are absolutely valid concerns, Mark. But talking about the manner in which AI can help empower people in everyday lives, you mentioned businesses, smaller businesses. Let's, for example, take a small a corner shopkeeper in a small town, because this is a kind of a startup that I came across just yesterday. Now, what they've developed is a certain kind of AI interface. Now, irrespective of the language the shopkeeper speaks, or irrespective of the language or the culture that his customer comes from, this AI interface can bridge the gap in terms of rupee to currency conversion, in terms of language conversion. So it's something as simple as making communication easier between people from different cultures and contexts is in itself going to be a great sort of tool for smaller businesses, just for example. And in India, the diversity is so much. If down south somebody does not speak Hindi or does not speak a popular language of the north and speaks in their mother tongue down south, such kind of AI interfaces can help, in fact, bridge such gaps. And this particular app that I'm talking about also reads and translates sign languages. So you see, the run-of-the-mill communication challenges that a diverse country like India has faced over the years, AI has a very quick and affordable solution. It's just going to work in the form of an app. So this is just one example in which the manner in which we use AI, I think that is really the question that we come back to again and again, the human aspect of it. What is the manner in which we make use of this tool? Prime Minister earlier had referred to the concept of nuclear energy. Now, that nuclear power, you can use it to make a bomb, or you can use it to harness sustainable energy for a large section of population. In a similar way, What is the use to which we are employing AI tools? What are the problems we are trying to seek? What is the end goal? Is it to empower humanity? Is it to empower people around us? Or is it to replace them? And I think all the leaders spoke in one voice that they're not looking for a future where human beings are just going to be part of data sets, sort of raw material for AI advances. But in fact, it's a civilizational pivotal point where we have to take that decision, take that stand together that the end result of AI implementation, AI innovation has to be to improve the lives of as many people as one can.
Stay with us, Shubhendu. We're going to take a short break, and then when we come back, we'll return to our guests, Andrew, Shubhendu. We'll continue to talk about, what's happening at Bharat Mandapam and the impact of artificial intelligence on our lives.
गर फिरदौस बर्रुएज ज़मी است.
Welcome to DD India. Well, we continue to have with us our guests in the studio, Professor T.G. Sitharaman, ex-chairman of AICTE, and Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, who was formerly with Atal Innovation Mission of Niti Aayog, and Professor Neil Lawrence, who's from the University of Cambridge, Department of Computer Science. And Shubhendu Ghosh is at the Bharat Mandapam, and he's getting us all the inputs from there. Shubhendu, let me come back to you. We were standing by for what outcomes could have emerged from Prime Minister's meeting with the CEOs. Do you have any update on that?
Mark, as we speak, the engagement of Prime Minister with CEOs of leading AI companies from around the world is still on. At the moment, it has in fact gone beyond the duration, really focusing on the manner in which it seems the content and the process itself is very, very engaging for all the stakeholders. Prime Minister is closely engaging, we know, has been holding talks with the leaders of the industry, and now it's a sort of CEO roundtable where it's a brainstorming session to sort of come out with ways and means of to determine the kind of roadmap that would work for India and the world, the manner in which cooperation can happen across industries, across countries. The leaders earlier also participated in a summit and focused on that need to make AI human-centric. And now CEOs who are in fact leading these companies, who are perhaps more rooted to the ground realities of artificial intelligence, their implementations, the economics of it, the manner in which human resource needs to be skilled and empowered and made ready for next generation of AI infrastructure and employment. So the diverse themes that the leaders are engaging with, and Prime Minister is closely part of that engagement. That meeting is still on, Mark, and we are on standby to learn what comes out of it, perhaps in a short while from now.
Right. Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, we were talking a little bit earlier about, in the small scale sector as well, when AI begins to be used, perhaps, those entrepreneurs will feel the need perhaps not to employ too many people. what happens then? Is that displacement?
Well, so I think in the small scales, well, displacement will likely be there. That is an issue I feel we have to, as they say, sort of grab by the horns and do something about. Displacement has always been there. Every time there is a disruption of industrial revolution, computers, databases, everywhere there has automation, etc. Every time there has been displacement, but this time the displacement is far more pervasive because it's across industries. And I feel one formula to do something about it is that if we conceptualize it as a responsibility of the displaced, the displacing, which may be the industry, and the government, to really proactively sort of shift people in their careers or in their, then I think we have a shot at going into the new economy. There will be a new economy that we can't today imagine. Now, small scale sectors, I think there are going to be two things happening. One is a lot of the help they needed in terms of human form will probably be augmented, some of it automated because of the tools. But the market size will also grow. I'll give you a very concrete example. In AI by Her, there was a company that has built a tool that can allow a small town jeweler to take a picture of their necklace, and it will create a catalog for them. And they have shown that their market size has increased. Now, if that happens, then I think that money gets deployed in doing more things, that employs more people, and so on. So I think that virtuous cycle will also be will kick in.
Right.
Now, again, equilibrium, we don't yet know, but we have to be proactive about it.
Professor Lawrence, what kind of a society are we creating? There is a civilization pivotal point, is what our correspondent Shubhendu was saying, which is, I mean, are we, like, for instance, people culturally belong to certain communities, they have certain ways. Is AI going to change that all? And, you know, we're all going to be the same. Are we going to be rational? Are we going to be whatever?
I hope not.
Okay.
I think that the Prime Minister put it very well when he talked about a transformational moment in human history, as did some of the tech CEOs who spoke after him. But what was noticeable is how they were obliged to change their tune a little bit in the way they would normally speak. They spoke actively about India's interests, India's needs, and largely why? Because some of the largest user bases in the world are in this country. And using it for education, using it for improving themselves. Now, I think that the challenge that we see with these communication technologies is they can break down communities. They can break down the way we live. But one of the things I think is encouraging is if you look at like a country with the diversity of India, the spirituality of India, you know, the focus on the temple, the focus on traditions, it's not going to work if it doesn't integrate this. And this is, I think, I heard that the Prime Minister has talked in the past about ensuring that these technologies incorporate the spirit of India. And, you know, even as a rational logician, we can see that that spirit is what remains when the machine takes other things away. So if we lose those things that you mentioned, I think that would be an absolutely terrible thing. And I do think there is a danger. I don't want to say that this is a massively positive revolution if we just let it go untrammeled. If we just leave it to the CEOs without the Prime Minister there, I don't think we'll achieve that. Not because they're bad people, but just because they're not aligned with the interests of the wider population. It's difficult for them to see. So it's wonderful to see this response to that call, the importance of the call coming from a country, you know, and I sign up to the idea that if AI is going to work for the world, it has to work for India. And working means not breaking down. Those communities may change. It's not that it will all be the same, but they need to change within the control of those communities. It needs to be the doctor, the healthcare worker that is steering the shift. So yes, they get their decision-making enhanced, but do so in a way that they feel in control, not in a way that they feel that they've been supplanted. And I think that the advances we see in terms of the small language models, that brings it to the vendors as well and the farmers as well in a way that, you know, we couldn't imagine before.
But Professor Sitharaman, are we, you know, at some point in time abdicating too much to AI in the sense that, you know, I mean, it works in a democracy where, you know, we are deciding who our leaders are. But supposing, you know, there are societies where leaders are not decided by the people, then what happens? I mean, if they take control of AI, they take control of your mind, they decide what you have to do. Are we staring down at, you know, some sort of dystopian reality?
Yeah. Before answering that question, I would like to just, the previous question I just
Sure.
wanted to touch upon. See, new job roles were going to change.
Okay.
Because of AI. So many of the skills what we were doing earlier are no more the skills. The new skills we have to learn. So all this have to be, you know, factored into while educating AI for all. So coming back to your question, that danger is already we are seeing. Big companies are driving it. That's where I thought India, particularly Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, what he brought is, he brought all the leaders here. Okay, there is a danger if you just leave it to the technocrats, because not bad people, as he rightly said. It is the perception of the problem is quite different than the politicians who are leading the country. So here he is thinking about everyone, you know, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, not just for Indian citizens, entire world. So that's where I see this summit has played a major role. 100+ countries are participating. 30 and odd international organizations are participating and discussing and coming up with statements on what we should be doing, what we should not be doing. It is not just creating a guardrails. It is the understanding, you know, where is the danger, where it is not a danger, where should we push it, what is the role of the government, what is the role of the industry, what is the role of the civil society and the common man. In every sector, not just education and industry and many other sectors, particularly MSMEs. Okay. I will tell you, just that's where India has a very large strength of micro, small and medium enterprises, almost 8 crore. If imagine if this technology is taking away the jobs, if you imagine that all the 8 crore companies adopt AI and every engineering or a polytechnic student employed by one company, one person, we don't have 8 crore students in higher education. Yes. We hardly have 4.5 crore students. So that means we might create a surplus jobs by doing this. Okay. So that's where I think we need to, if we play it well, this technology is going to help us. That's where I think what I really liked about this summit is everybody is coming together and seeing where are the problems and how do we fix them and how do we go future to taking this technology. But one thing we have to remember, this technology is developed by the mankind for the benefit of the mankind. There is no way we can leave this technology, wait for it, we'll see. We have to embrace this technology and move ahead.
We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us here in the studio. Professor T.G. Sitharaman, Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, and Professor Neil Lawrence. And thank you, Shubhendu, for giving us those valuable inputs that has helped us put things into context and also kept us aware of what is happening at Bharat Mandapam. We continue to give you news about the India AI Summit in our subsequent bulletins. But for the moment, thank you very much for joining us on this program. Namaskar and thank you.